Tonight, you will do something no animal on Earth can do. Not a chimpanzee, not a dog, not a dolphin with its supposedly enormous social brain. You will feel a thought, and your face will betray it. Heat will flood your cheeks, capillaries will dilate, and the blood will rise to the surface of your skin whether you want it to or not. You have never been able to stop it. Neither has anyone else. So why does it happen? And why, out of every species that has ever lived, does it happen only to us? The answer reaches into the deepest architecture of what makes a human being different from everything else that breathes. Think about what blushing actually is, at the mechanical level. When you feel embarrassed, or caught, or intensely seen, your autonomic nervous system fires a signal. The same system that controls your heartbeat and your breathing, the one you cannot consciously override, floods the small blood vessels in your cheeks and forehead with blood. Specifically, the venules, tiny vessels just beneath the skin's surface, dilate in response to adrenaline. But here's what makes this strange. Adrenaline normally causes blood vessels to constrict. It prepares the body to run or fight, except in your face. In your face, the response is inverted. The vessels in your cheeks respond to that same adrenaline signal by opening wider instead of closing. No one fully understands why the facial vasculature is wired this way. It is, as far as physiologists can determine, unique in the human body. Charles Darwin spent years trying to make sense of it. In 1872, he devoted an entire chapter of the expression of the emotions in man and animals to blushing, more space than he gave to any other expression. He called it the most peculiar and most human of all expressions. He collected observations from missionaries, colonial officers, and physicians stationed across the globe, asking a single question: do people of all races and cultures blush? The answer, every time, was yes, but he could not explain why. He wrote that blushing is the one expression that serves no obvious survival purpose. It does not frighten predators. It does not attract mates directly. It does not warn the group of danger. It makes you visible precisely when visibility feels like a threat. Darwin found it, in his own words, not at all easy to understand. He was right that it was not easy, but he was asking the wrong question. Darwin wanted to know what blushing does for the individual. The actual answer is what it does for everyone watching. In 1997, psychologist Dacher Keltner at the University of California, Berkeley, began studying what he called appeasement displays, involuntary physical signals that communicate something to others about your social intentions. Keltner found that blushing is not a weakness signal. It is a trust signal. When people watched subjects who blushed after making a mistake, they consistently rated those individuals as more trustworthy, more likable, and more likely to be forgiven than people who did not blush. The blush communicated something words could not. I know I violated a norm. I care that I violated it. You are important enough to me that my body is reacting without my permission. That last part is the critical piece. The involuntary nature of the blush is not a glitch. It is the entire point. Think about it from the outside. A person can apologize without meaning it. They can look remorseful, perform sincerity, construct a perfect verbal account of contrition, but they cannot fake a blush. Or rather, they cannot produce one at will. The blush is the one social signal in the human repertoire that bypasses conscious control entirely. It is the body saying what the mouth might not. In a species that developed language and therefore developed the capacity for sophisticated deception, the blush functions as a biological lie detector running in reverse, not detecting lies, but authenticating truth. Your embarrassment is real because your face is red. That sentence cannot be faked. This is where it gets strange in the best possible way, because the mechanism that produces the blush, the self-conscious awareness required to trigger it, is itself one of the most cognitively expensive things a brain can do. To blush, you have to be thinking about what someone else is thinking about you, not just feeling fear, not just registering pain. You have to hold in your mind a model of another person's mind and care about what that model contains. Developmental psychologists call this second-order theory of mind. It is the cognitive ability to have thoughts about thoughts. Your 2-year-old has a basic theory of mind. They understand that other people can have different knowledge than they do. But full self-conscious embarrassment, the kind that produces a blush, requires something more sophisticated. Modeling your own image as seen through another person's eyes, then caring about the gap between that image and how you want to be seen. No other animal has been observed to demonstrate this at the level required to produce embarrassment. Chimpanzees show something resembling shame. They avoid eye contact after conflict. They use appeasement gestures, but they do not blush. Gorillas do not blush. Elephants, for all their demonstrated grief and empathy, do not blush. The blush appears to require a level of social self-modeling that only human neurology has, as far as we can currently determine, achieved. And here is the part almost nobody talks about. This means the blush is not a side effect of having a complex social brain. It is evidence of one. Your body is running a continuous, involuntary computation. It is constantly modeling how you appear to others, comparing that model against some internal standard of how you want to appear. And when the gap crosses a threshold, it fires a signal that writes the result on your face in red. You did not choose this system. You were born with it. And for most of human history, before there were words subtle enough to navigate the infinite complexity of social reputation, a system like this one may have been essential. The blush settled disputes that language had not yet evolved to articulate. It communicated regret before regret had a word. It built trust in groups where trust was survival. In 2009, researcher Corien Dyke at the University of Amsterdam published a study in which people were shown to feel more social connection with blushing strangers than with non-blushing strangers, even when the blushing person had done something mildly embarrassing. The embarrassment plus the blush together actually increased affiliation. The blush, in other words, is social glue. It pulls people together at the exact moment the person blushing feels most exposed. There is something worth sitting with in that. Most of what the body does without your permission is about keeping you alive in a physical sense. Your heart beats. Your stomach digests. Your immune system hunts foreign cells. But the blush is the body spending biological resources on something entirely different, the preservation of your social self. Your face reddens to protect something invisible, a reputation, a relationship, a sense of shared norms with other people whose opinion shapes your world. No animal without a rich inner social life has any use for that mechanism. The fact that your body built it and maintains it and fires it without asking you is a window into what evolution decided mattered most about being human. Not claws, not speed, not venom, connection. You blush because your brain is always watching the room, always calculating, always caring about where you stand in the eyes of the people around you. That system is 200,000 years old. It predates cities and writing and mirrors. It was working in the firelight of a savannah camp, sorting out who could be trusted and who was only pretending, before a single one of your ancestors had the words to explain what they were doing. The next time heat rises in your cheeks and you wish you could stop it, you cannot. You know that now. But what's rising is not weakness. What's rising is the oldest proof we have that you are the kind of creature that cares what happens between people, and that you always will be, and that your body refuses to let you pretend otherwise. You blush because connection costs something, and somewhere inside you, it always has.